Have you ever asked yourself why sexual fantasy can feel so powerful? Not just pleasurable, but relieving. Not just exciting, but safe. And have you ever stopped to wonder what it's quietly replacing in your life? This video is not here to shame you. It's not here to accuse you. And it's not here to moralize desire. It's here to understand it. Because judging is easy. Understanding takes courage. From a neuroscience perspective, sexual fantasy works because it offers the brain something it is desperately searching for: regulation without risk. When reality feels overwhelming, emotionally, relationally, or internally, the brain looks for places where it can feel control, reward, and relief at the same time. Fantasy provides all three. Inside the brain, sexual fantasy activates the dopamine system, the same circuit involved in motivation, anticipation, and emotional relief. Dopamine doesn't care if the experience is real or imagined. It responds to meaning, novelty, and emotional escape. For a moment, the nervous system relaxes. The mind feels soothed, and the body feels safe. That's why it works. But here's what's rarely talked about. Sexual fantasy often isn't about sex at all. It's about what someone is avoiding or missing. For some, it replaces emotional intimacy. For others, it replaces connection. For others, it replaces purpose, direction, or a sense of being wanted. Fantasy doesn't demand vulnerability. It doesn't risk rejection. It doesn't require communication. And it never challenges you. Reality does. Many people aren't running toward pleasure. They're running away from pain, from loneliness, from unresolved grief, from emotional emptiness, from relationships that feel distant or unsafe, from parts of themselves they don't know how to face. And the brain, trying to protect them, offers a shortcut. But shortcuts don't build strength. They build dependence. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. However, when fantasy becomes the primary place where relief happens, something important starts to fade. Emotional tolerance, presence, the ability to sit with discomfort, the capacity to grow through reality instead of escaping it. This is where compassion must be honest. You deserve understanding, but you also deserve truth. Living by escape slowly shrinks your world. It teaches the brain that reality is something to avoid, not engage with. And over time, that avoidance can deepen anxiety, emotional numbness, and disconnection. If at any point you notice that sexual fantasy is no longer a choice, but a necessity, if it begins interfering with your relationships, your focus, or your emotional health, seeking professional support is not weakness. It is clarity. Therapy doesn't take pleasure away. It gives meaning back to your life. And let this be said clearly. This video does not encourage compulsive behavior. It does not normalize harm. And it does not suggest escaping responsibility. It invites awareness.
If you're listening to this and feeling seen, remember this. You don't need to run from reality to survive it. You need tools to face it safely. Pain avoided does not disappear. It waits. And the longer it waits, the louder it speaks. If you're struggling, asking for help is not losing control. It's choosing growth over escape. And one final reminder, especially if you've made it this far. You may be going through a hard season. You may feel overwhelmed. But don't place yourself as the most suffering person in the world. That mindset traps you in self-focus instead of healing. Others are fighting battles you cannot see. And you are not alone in yours. Be patient with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And be brave enough to face what fantasy is quietly replacing. Because real healing doesn't happen in escape. It happens in presence. And presence, even when uncomfortable, is where freedom begins.